Hail, Internet! It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about The Expanse, series finale, Babylon's Ashes, named for the book on which this season is primarily based. We open, as we have all season, Paul, with the incredibly important and super relevant subplot of the little kid who unwittingly used proto-molecule tech to bring her dead brother back to life.
If there was just one more second of that, I think I was going to blow my brains out. Wait, no, we're mixed up here. We're exact opposites.
Okay. All right.
We're in the wrong side of the ring.
Sigh. Anyway, after 3 minutes of that, the actual story begins with our heroes planning how to stop Marco from reaching the ring gate. And if they can't stop him, Holden has a plan B. So that's our intro. We end with the crew of the Rocinante, the current crew of the Rocinante, Holden, Naomi, Amos, Bobby, and Peaches happily flying off to parts unknown. And then we get like a possible threat from the Laconians at the ring gate over the end credits, which we can talk about. But it's kind of a ominous and then it's over. So that said, Paul, before we launch into other discussions, what did you think of the series finale?
I liked it. Felt like Marcos' end was just. I really wanted to see him get it. And even though he's sort of like, you have to sort of assume that look on his face is sort of, oh shit.
Right. Is he just barking out an order, or is he like realizing that he's about to die? It's tough to tell.
Yeah. You were having pity for the.
Oh, sure. The lieutenant, second in command.
Yeah, that maybe she had it worse. I don't know. At least she got to look in somebody's eyes as she was dying. I wonder if that was the moment she was wondering, did I back the right horse? Did I?
Right, because it did feel like, for her character, that it was kind of a she saw it as a career move. If I'm really successful with Marco, then perhaps I get something in return later. And obviously that later did not come.
It was highly likely too that they were going to get charged of that station, so they definitely should not have been giving the information about the ring here. Like, glad Avasarala's cooler heads prevailed with Holden. It's like, maybe we should tell our enemies about this ring problem.
That's a great point. If he does that, then they're like, well, maybe they might have been proceeded to the ring with more caution. But yeah, so would you rather go out violently, like she basically has like a shrapnel injury and bleeds out, or would you rather be erased by an alien? I don't know. However that, I'm guessing that erase thing or whatever, the time stop, I'm guessing that's a more peaceful way to go out, perhaps, than the...
Yeah, it seems like it, I guess, until we find out that really, it stuns you, and that's why you're stuck like that. Right. And your voice can't make any screaming sounds. Oh, this is so terrible! You're
held in some kind of painful stasis for eternity. You're like, oh, no! Yes. Oh, but I'm conscious! Oh, no.
Yeah.
So... Anyway, so yes, she basically accelerated her death by a couple of hours by dying the way she did. But you called that, so good on you, sir. You theorized perhaps she might go out. I theorized Peaches, and she got notice of her impending death. Do I get partial credit? Okay. You're going to die in 5 years. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Unless you cut down your smoking,
right,
and maybe get a little more exercise.
I also flip-flopped. I did the Philip flip-flop where I was convinced he was going to escape until the day we recorded. And then I'm like, no, I convinced myself that he was on the chopping block, but he escaped.
Yes.
Now, it's interesting. I mean, that's one of these things. Actually, let's bring this up, because your comment in the finale preview looks right on the money. You were saying, hey, you were theorizing that while Amazon might be ending the series, the showrunners might have other ideas. And as we saw here with the Laconia plotline, it's basically still unresolved, and Philip's escape from the Pella, unbeknownst to Naomi. That was one of the reasons I didn't think he'd escape, because I figured, oh, they're going to have a reunion. And they didn't.
No.
And so they just go, yeah, Naomi thinks she killed her kid.
Yeah.
So it feels like the showrunners are reminding us that there's more story to tell. This is simply the end of the TV show, but
Yes.
for now. So yeah, I feel like they might be like saying, hey, other network, if you'd like to bring us on, we've got more story.
Yeah, I think there's 2 or 3 more books, if I'm not mistaken. So
Right. So yeah, they certainly have more of the book story to tell, and they're just pointing that out, I think, very clearly here, because they did not wrap those things up. They're like,
No,
we'll just
they
leave
did not.
that open.
No, yeah.
And for Naomi, that's a super second that is the end of the series. Like, man, that's just like
Yes.
just the emotional trauma that they just hoisted on her as she's screaming in agony.
Yes.
As everybody else is like,
you know,
yay!
if not for that scream, she recovered nicely.
That's
She's like
okay. All right.
hanging out with Holden afterwards, and
Zen, I've made peace with this. But yes, he being Philip changes his last name to Nagata, so he's kind of basically that's the shorthand for saying I'm siding with my mom's side of events now. I think he realized in his conversations with Marco that his mom was right. It was last season. I think she said something like, Marco only cares about himself. Like, you can do everything for him, but he's not going to do stuff in return for you.
Yes.
And Philip.
Yeah, and that final conversation where he talked about actually who bid it there, Roosevelt or whatever, saying, well, hey, you know what? That's what they chose.
Yeah, and so so Philip figures out just in time to save himself.
Yeah.
But it also made me think, it's an interesting little dichotomy between Amos and Bobby. So from the last episode, we saw, Amos questioning why he's fighting, and Bobby's like, hey, you just got to fight for those around you, like people that have your flank, people that are fighting to protect you at the cost of their life, and that's good enough for them. And so that theory of fighting for something seems to be the opposite of what Marco seems to be saying, like the people around you are tools to reach your goal, and they're just interchangeable.
It's a clear thread throughout the whole season. I mean, to the point where, Naomi, says that to Drummer, and Drummer tells her to go fuck herself.
Yeah. The plan as we open the episode is that, hey, there's these. Marco is split up into 3 groups approaching the ring gate. If Marco can get the Pella through the ring gate, he's basically safe on the other side of it, and it's like a fort, and you'll never get to him. You're in real trouble. So they're trying to stop him before he gets to the ring gate. He's split up into 3 parts to try to distract their forces. And so what they get a ping they think is the Pella, and they send off a group after that, and then they send Drummer's group after that. You go after the supply ships. Well, it turns out Marco's hiding in the supply ships, and so it becomes a Drummer versus Marco, which you kind of saw that would be some.
Yeah, was it Gareth who took on the role of butting their ship?
Yeah, so you got that. He's kind of basically a pirate. I don't know. He's like, we'll get treasure at the end of this. But yeah, so Drummer is going to go out, sacrifice herself to destroy Marco, but she doesn't get the chance because one of the Belters that she co-opted into her group decides to do it for her, and so he basically goes to ramming speed and dies, but temporarily disables the Pella in the process.
It's like the thing that kills me about that is Drummer deciding, okay, I'm going to ram into it. You can see someone clearly behind her who doesn't seem to be paying attention. Like, you're about to die.
That's true.
So I would have liked some sort of, wait, what? Huh?
Is there like a vote? Can we do like an anonymous? I'm going to fill out some papers. Hang on.
Let me do that Naomi bit and run off the ship.
Yeah. I think we should have a vote. Oh, somebody said that. I agree. Anyway, but yes, she does not get a chance to sacrifice herself. She has a big hole in the ship next to her.
Yeah.
Thank good. That's why you put on the masks. So all that fighting is going down, and so it comes down to Holden's Plan B, which is a way to basically go down onto the surface of the ring gate to take out these rail guns. There's like 6 or 7 rail guns, and they're going to have to go literally down and like hand-to-hand fight basically their way to these rail guns. So it's a cool bit because you get the combination of ship-to-ship fighting and then, infantry fighting as well.
Yeah.
And the plan is to send a whole bunch of shipping crates, some of which have people in them,
Yes.
so that there's too many targets for the railguns to take out. And of course, Amos and Bobby are in those crates. There was a point where it was like, well, the projections are they're going to kill 20% of the crates. He's like, well, okay, those are pretty good odds. Like, oh man. So yeah, the crates are just disappearing at a faster rate than they thought. Like, oh boy. But it's a cool effect, and it works.
Yeah.
And there's a really fun Easter egg, very deliberate, where they show the strike team. They have like Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, and it's just this who's who of sci-fi heroes are in these crates. I wrote down a little bit of a list. There's too many to name them all, frankly, but this is what I got out of it. There's Duncan Idaho from Dune, a bunch of folks from Aliens, including Ripley and Vasquez, Rick Deckard from Blade Runner, Admiral Akbar. It's a trap. He's in one of those crates. Kara Thrace, a.k.a. Starbuck. Will Riker is on there. And maybe my favorite one was Jason Naismith, who is the fictional actor who plays Commander Taggart in Galaxy Quest. So he's Tim Allen's part. Anyways, it's funny. They were all in on it. Go get them, guys. So we get several hero moments there where Bobby chooses to kind of sacrifice herself for Amos, and then Amos comes in and tries to sacrifice himself for her. He's like covering her body.
Yep.
And then the Rocinante swoops in at the last second to save them both, and they survive. But an effective battle sequence for sure.
Quite impressive. Yeah.
The budget well spent on that. We then have this post-battle sequence where we're kind of trying to wrap up the series. In the aftermath of Marco being destroyed, we've got the Belters, Mars, and Earth trying to come up with like a peace negotiation. How we're going to monitor the ring gate. Obviously, the ring gate's got a pretty big issue. If you send too much through it at once, boom, people go disappear. So they're going to have to monitor that. And obviously, there's just a new world, a new solar system order, new system order. We're going to try to have a peaceful way of doing things. So there's a lot of disagreement. The Belters are rightfully saying, hey, you guys are just going to screw us over again. Oh, you're going to give us a vote, and then you two just vote against us, so we'll never actually be able to accomplish anything. So it becomes that they're going to have an independent, what do they call it, transport union. And so the transport union is going to be run by, hey, we want a neutral party that will go on everybody's behalf, and Holden is kind of the universal choice. He becomes president of the transport union, and his first act is to resign and hand control over to his vice president, Drummer. And so what that does is basically ensure that at least that the Belters are going to have a voice in in shaping this new system.
A very powerful voice, yeah.
Anyway, that's his act to try to create peace throughout the system. Which I think it's a satisfying end there, and you see that Drummer is gonna do a good job at that, one would think as well.
Yeah, it certainly makes me curious about how that's going to play out, because one thing we can say about the series is that it doesn't seem like it's probably a perfect solution. I'm sure it'll help the inners. The Belters. Sorry, I'll say help the Belters. But how well will the planets really take that?
Right. There'll still be strife. It's not like, and they were happily ever after. Right. But at least there's
but so hopefully somebody else takes up the story there, because it makes me want to see what's going to happen.
Right, and then you've got this, during the end credits, there's a suggestion that I think perhaps that giant alien ship that the Laconians managed to bring online is perhaps approaching the ring gate. We can't really see it that well, but you see some of the little flickers in the ring gate suggesting something's about to pass through, and the music's like choo-wah, and you're like, okay, something bad's about to happen. And so that seemed, again, it's just kind of saying, hey, here comes Laconia, gonna break up your peace, perhaps. And so again, it's just it's the show saying there's more story. So we didn't just tell that little kid in the forest story for nothing. There's Laconia's back, baby. Anyway, so yeah. So it does suggest that all things being equal, they would really like to have someone say, here's some money, let's do the next season. And I hope so too. It's a quality show. Again, very well written. I think I mentioned it before, but I think it's the best of these, spaceship drama style shows, I think, that's in existence at the moment. Well, maybe it's not in existence at this point. But.
It was, right. It's certainly, I feel, more satisfying than R.R. Martin's Space Odyssey.
Oh, yeah, that was not the best show.
No.
I'm forgetting the name of it, but anyway, we covered it.
As well we should.
Yeah. Like, woo, that show had some issues. Kudos to the show. I thought that was an excellent end. I think they kind of ticked all the boxes for how each of these characters' arcs kind of resolves itself in this moment. As I say, Naomi has to just live with the fact that she killed her kid.
Yes. Until he reintroduces herself, surprise, Mom!
Right. In the mythical next season, they'd probably be a surprise. Hey, huh? Yeah. She'll think he's like a proto-molecule kid,
Psych. Fooled you.
A thumbs up on the ending. I was very pleased with how they pulled that off.
Yeah, I really think it did a good job. I mean, perhaps they could have had slightly more humor for my taste, but
okay.
That's that's a nitpick. It did the other stuff so very well, creating a world with important stakes that you were convinced by. Dealt with space travel really well and battles in a way that didn't have a lot of hand wavy. It was very. When someone died, you believe that they would have died, and somebody, even when the Rocinante is doing fantastic stunts and everything, it still felt believable.
Well, there's even things like, for instance, the ring gate. What I appreciate about it is it didn't just become a plot device to we want to go to these other strange worlds. Hey, there's a ring gate, now we can use it. Like, it's got its own consequences. There's politics about who controls it. It becomes a plot. Really important to the plot.
And the very important stuff that happens on the planet with the kids.
That's true, Paul. That's very true. I'm so glad they dwelt on the kid on the planet.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, you know what? And I'll say this. Let's just say there is another season, and Laconia is this major power in that season. It would make me look back on the kid in the woods thing a little more kindly. Still wasn't my favorite bit, but I could see, okay, the point of that was we're showing how Laconia is rising as a power. They're playing with this tech, and then it manifests itself, and now they've got a thing. That would make more sense to me, and I'd retroactively give them a little higher mark on all those intro scenes. As it stands, I'm like, eh.
It's an incomplete.
It's an incomplete. You get an eye, frowny face. But yeah, so yeah, maybe one day there will be yet another season. In which case, we'll be watching it for sure.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're covering Boba Fett, and we're going to jump in. They dropped 3 episodes at once on us, but we're going to try to pick up mid-season with Peacemaker, which looks like a really quality show as well. So we'll talk about that next week. So anyway, thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
No problem.
We'll see everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.